First, I would like to thank Prosecutor O'Malley and the other law enforcement agencies that have committed significant resources to helping our police department root out these individuals. The individuals that have committed these alleged offenses, and we will continue to assist any and all investigations. Many of these investigations began internally within the East Cleveland Police Department concerning the past indictments of Patrolman Cole and Warner Sims. We led the investigation, we arrested the individuals, and we asked the county to further investigate this case. We also conducted an internal investigation into Investigator Fody, Detective McGinnis, and Investigator Parks, and again, turned these cases over to Cuyahoga County's prosecutor's office to determine if charges were warranted. The other investigations and subsequent indictments were the result of tips and the viewing of body cameras. Last year, with the help of City Council, we were able to upgrade our body cameras. The new cameras, the new systems aren't reliant on officers to activate them, which lessens the possibility of human error. As Prosecutor O'Malley stated, these indictments happened under the former chief, Scott Gardner. Normally, we rely on the former chief's, the previous chief's recommendation as to who should succeed him. And we promoted Scott Gardner based on the former chief's recommendation. Unfortunately, here in the city of East Cleveland, we can only promote from within the department to the chief's position. Twice, we have asked our city council to pass legislation allowing us to go outside of the city and do national searches for chiefs. In that regard, I consider us lucky to have found or discovered the new chief, Brian Gerhardt, from within our own department. Chief Gerhardt was actually born in East Cleveland and has spent his entire career in this city, in law enforcement. And he is committed to rebuilding this department, its reputation, and this city. We agree with Prosecutor O'Malley that Chief Gerhardt is the right person to rebuild this department and give confidence back inside and outside of this city. We are happy to hear that the county will assist us in getting resources to help us assist our police with serving and protecting our community. Again, I'd like to thank you for coming out, and I take any questions you may have.
Mayor, there are members of council who flat out blame you and your leadership for what they call corruption in the city of East Cleveland, in particular the police department. Your response to that?
I would ask for a thorough explanation as to what and why they're saying that, right? What we know here in East Cleveland is that we must promote from inside. Understanding that, having been on city council myself, having voted yes when the former mayor saw issues in the police department, having voted yes on that legislation to allow the mayor to do a national search. It did fail when I was on council, but I understood the reason why it was being asked for, right? I, too, as mayor, submitted the same legislation to council, which again was denied, right? I take issue, and I'm sure our men in blue would take issue as a lumping together of corruption of the entire department, as the new chief has stated on numerous occasions, none of the police start off like that, right? When they come through the academy, when they're sworn in, at some point, some of them have lost their way, right? Those who are found to have committed any crime, we will help prosecute in any way, shape, or form. And I've stated that since my first day here, safety first, and there's a zero tolerance. So I would take issue with anyone who would say that, particularly those who would say it and don't have a remedy or an assistance to help make it better.
Do you believe your administration bears any responsibility for some of the things that have happened?
Any responsibility? What I will take responsibility for is doing the research to find the new cameras, right? Getting the new system passed through council and getting it implemented and up and running, right? Understanding that we need to hold everyone accountable and take away as many things that would allow for accountability not to happen. And these new cameras are state of the art, right? And there's less human error. So I would take credit for advancing that, right? So when you look at the tapes, or when the tapes are being looked at, understand that they're from the new body cameras that this administration went out, got, and then got council to pass the legislation to allow us to get them. Yes?
Are you open to having the sheriff's department come in and take over the police department while it's being investigated?
I can't speak on that. That's beyond a question for me. And trust me, as Prosecutor O'Malley stated, and over my tenure as being mayor, I have talked to the different sheriffs, and everyone is strapped for employees, right? So
you personally had me arrested using the police officer that you're talking about not being a part of the association.
So I'm not familiar with what you're saying. I've never had you arrested.
Dennis arrested Andre Hendricks, and you came down there and you got me arrested when I was getting my things out of my building. So you personally, y'all have not put my charges in over 2 years.
So while we are on camera, let me please make the correction. I was never present when you were arrested.
Right,
I have no idea what you.
Tiffany Morgan called you.
Any other questions from the news?
Police officer,
Any other questions from the news?
Do you believe that the police department needs help? What is your plan to help with this?
So my plan to help with this, we have instituted various programs and incentives to try to get local yokels, if you will, to come in and police their own city, right? Even to a place where if someone comes in, and we've had 2, maybe 3, where is Captain? Captain. We've had maybe 2 to 3 people who have taken us up on the training, in which we would send them out to training, and then they would just have to sign a commitment to work for the police for a couple of years. So we are trying to increase our staffing, not just in the police, but also in fire, which are both our safety forces. What I would also like to add, as incentives to help maintain staffing, entice staffing, we have, thanks to our President Biden and thanks to the former President Trump, we have given out retention pay to police and fire, to our safety forces. So if you look at their total pay at the end of the year, it is still not what we would like it to be, right? But their total pay is not as lacking as you may think.
What about
Would you be willing to step down?
And we just renegotiated the collective bargaining agreement, so that
Council won't pass it.
and we're just waiting on council to pass that.
community members who don't feel to have trust in the local government and trust in their local police department. What message do you have for them?
Trust in the mayor.
So what I would say with that, right? And here's what I love about it. You can check the stats. Most, right? And I would say it's over 90% of the cases that come into East Cleveland, the arrests that are made, are not from East Cleveland residents. 100% of the car chases, which have been considerably diminished under our new chief, 100% are from people who do not live in this city. People who come through the city in one way, shape, or form to disrespect it and or commit various mishaps, things that they shouldn't. Okay.
Mayor, one question.
Yes, please.
What will you do in the coming months to try to promote a better spirit of cooperation between your office and council members who are contacting the media very often? It's important that you guys try to find a way to work together. I'm sure the taxpayers would want that. What will you do specifically in the coming months to try to promote a spirit of cooperation between your department and city council?
So thank you for that question. I have and will continue to try to work with city council. Following the letter of the law, I will continue to do my part as an elected official to work with the entire body of city council. And, right, I think the record shows that I have. And I will continue to do that. Right? Now,
What specifically will you do, Mayor, though, to promote that? There have been
So-
problems with meetings, allegations that there's been a lack of cooperation, and I think the taxpayers deserve a more specific
So the
answer.
taxpayers who are engaged will tell you that I have been working and trying to work with council. This past Monday, we had a meeting of the council president and myself with the concerned pastors, right? A number of meetings that I have missed have been most recent meetings under the change in presidency of city council. The meetings that they've had have been not following the sunshine law. They're having meetings and not posting them, not notifying people, and then what's on the agenda is really nothing of substance for myself to attend. Every meeting that is in the charter, the first and the third Tuesdays of the month, I have been at this year, except the first meeting, right? I was on holiday. Every other meeting that is in the charter, first and the third Tuesday, I have attended. So I have done my part, and I will continue to do my part. I think what may be missing as I look at you when you ask that question, I think outside may not see the full story of what's going on, right? And
You know,
what's
I've called the office-
really
I've called
happening.
the office 15 times on more than a dozen stories to try to get your side of the story, Mayor. You know that. I want a balanced report, but each time you don't respond. Will you respond to me in the future, sir?
No.
So here's what I can promise you, and it's the same thing if you can remember when I first became mayor. Joe Pakinakis, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice. If you remember when I first became mayor, I would get out the car, you'd be standing there with the camera rolling. I would come upstairs, you'd be standing there with the camera. I would come out the bathroom, you're standing there with the camera rolling. I've had you in my office twice
Yes, you have.
and done interviews.
But
And
not-
you promised to write a fair story, to write a positive story. And I sent you the emails of positive stories. You showed up for none of them. Joe, you do a positive story?
I will.
Or a fear story, right? And what I mean by positive, you can come do the toy giveaway, do a food giveaway, do something like that, right? Do a positive story or do a fair and balanced story. When someone comes to you just because they're an elected official and they tell you something and you spend no time looking any of this stuff up and you just run, I don't call that a fair story. You do a fair story or a good story and I'll have you back in my office to do an interview.
Mayor.
And that's my promise.
I I hope that's gonna happen.
Joe, do you feel you've done a positive or fair story since I've been the mayor?
Asked Nate Martin, we have done positive stories, there's many wonderful things in East Cleveland.
Yes, there are,
Sir.
and I thank you for that. But I don't think
I'm hoping you'll
I don't think
respond to my phone calls and requests
Joe-
for information so I can have both sides of the story.
Joe, do a fair story or do a positive story, and I have you back in my office for an interview, right? And some of you that I've had in there, I'm looking for the lady that was in there maybe a couple weeks ago, right? She's more than welcome to come back, right? She did a fair story, an accurate
So they
story.
gotta-
I have no problem with that, right? As long as it's fair and accurate. That's all I'm asking for.
So is it
Good
accurate?
or bad.
Is it
Good or bad.
accurate
Any
that
other
you,
questions?
Yes. Is it accurate that you told me I cannot come past the police station to come to these meetings? I haven't been to a meeting this year because you threatened me to go to jail if I come past the police station. is
So
fair and
that is
accurate?
that is not true. I have not seen you but once this year, and
No,
I
it
told you
wasn't
you
this
couldn't
year.
come. I told you couldn't come to a public meeting. I
You
would
told me
never
I
do
can't
that.
come in here
I did not
after
tell
police
you
station.
that you could not come in city. I did not personally tell you that. Where do you keep getting
were
this
on
stuff
the
from?
phone with
No,
the police
you and I
when-
do not talk on the phone.
You
Are
were
there
on
any
the phone
other
with the
questions? So I think it's obvious that this person's a political operative, and that's where he's kind of skewed with all
I'm
this.
just don't
Yeah,
understand how
but you
you
haven't
got
said
arrested.
anything fair. I have not told you couldn't come to City Hall. I have never been present when you were arrested. What are you talking
I
about?
didn't say you was pregnant. I said you were on
You
the
said
phone.
I had you arrested.
You did have me arrested from a phone.
Any other news people have any other questions? Please, thank you for
Ms.
coming out
Hammonds,
tonight.
Come on, Ms. Hammonds, you made your statement, Ms. Hammonds.